Hello.
Hello. Hello, birthday girl.
Hi. I'm old now.
You're so old and dusty, I can't even believe it.
I know. Oh my gosh. 27, man.
It's all downhill.
Stay hydrated. Do your skincare.
I know, Britt. I don't have a hat on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the random stranger on the live.
Right.
Who is this man?
All right. Wow. Episodes 6 and 7, season 4 of The Boys.
Wild.
I feel like, yeah, you just like start every one of these off being like, what the fuck happened?
Dude, I know. The directions that they went and things that happened, my jaw was open for about like half the episode each time. Let's start with episode 6, Huey.
This poor guy. It's kind of like so many of the characters in the show are dealing with all these bad things that happen to them. But nothing compares to what has happened to Huey through almost 4 seasons now. And the fact that he hasn't completely lost his mind and just gone Waco on everybody is beyond me because the dude does not stop taking the hits.
No, I think we're gonna. It's building up to, I feel like, having a mental break, right? Especially for what happens in episode 7. Like, I think when we figure out that he realizes who that actually was, it's just gonna be like,
Yeah, so I guess we sort of begin with Web Weaver, who is just like a hilarious, intentional Spider-Man knockoff, right? Except for the fact that Spider-Man shoots his webs from his wrists, which using web shooters makes sense. I hate to say it, but the Tobey Maguire thing where they were like organically internal but shooting them out of his wrist made zero sense because if somebody actually did have a Spider-Man's powers, they would be shooting them out of their butt. I mean, because that's biologically what a spider does. And yet we've got this weird clawed, tiny mouth opening thing that, yeah, I don't
you
even
can see
like.
that you're scarred. Yeah, so we can see it's more accurate on that kind of sense. But it's so weird. And him as a whole is like, oh, I just felt so bad for MM because we know that he has OCD. We know that he's a germaphobe. And to get shot, and then he's like, all the Purell in the world. Which I've been feeling for MM this season, like, and I think that it goes to show that they're focusing a little bit more on like the mental health aspect because that's something I always think about when it comes to going through some of these things. Like, how are these people not going insane themselves, right? You know, killing people, seeing the dirty stuff, having the pressure and all the information about the world might be ending, or all these trade secrets, or, secret investigations, whatever. Like, that's just a lot to carry, especially when you have a family. And for him, focusing on like a panic attack being like a heart attack, it like anxiety leaves a lot of long lasting effects. I do like that the show focused a little bit more on that and shows how bad, that can be for some people. Like OCD is just not like oh, I like to keep things neat and tidy thing. Like that can cause you to freaking pass out.
Hmm. Yeah, and especially like I am not a germaphobe, but still, if someone was like, "Hey, you need to take this and just cram it way up Main Street," I don't know that I'm emotionally
Capable.
coming back from that afterwards. Like, I just don't know if I could. And for someone like him to have to do it on top of it, and yeah, all that just so they could get one of his costumes.
Yeah, no, that's pretty deep. And gross.
No pun intended,
Yeah,
right?
no pun intended. Um, and yes, seeing his role going into that episode with Tech Knight, and I remember like the whole scene, and then when his like butler guy came out, I'm like, this is giving a vibe, and it was giving Batman, which I was looking into because I was like, who's the dude in the red, Ladio or whatever, and that's supposed to be like his Robin. I thought that was really interesting, and that whole manipulation where Kimiko was like trying to hurt him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's the stuff." And like, how do you hurt a masochist? And how they went about it, I was dying.
Hmm. Yeah, and we got the whole like bizarre, crazy. There's no other way to put it. The whole bizarre sex dungeon thing with poor Huey,
Dad
dressed
just
up
died.
as Web Weaver, just strapped into a saddle, and I don't know. And of course, Ashley has to show up in the black latex, which anyway.
What?
But
Okay, let's unpack that. What does this mean,
I
Finch?
I have to admit, the whole time I've been watching this show, all the way back to season one, I never once in my life thought of her, I guess, as attractive. But let's just say the clothes do it for some people, okay? Because in that one scene, it was like, okay, wow, that was. And even then, like once we moved on to like episode 8 and she wasn't in that getup anymore, it was kind of like, oh, okay, it's just Ashley. But there was that one brief moment where it was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, that's all the more I'm going to unpack out of that.
That's
Rest.
okay. I was seeing some feedback from that from other people who are like making memes and stuff. Like the whole scene was just like a lot. But I think it's really funny that Ashley, who starting the show was more kind of like me, like takes orders, and she does that in her job. And then her alter ego is someone who's like just absolutely get down nasty and ordering people around and being a dom. Like I think that's really interesting how she's so submissive in her job, which she has to be. And then she kind of like releases that in her post-work activities.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she's kind of a badass. And I think we're seeing more of her side, like looking at the pictures of her when she was doing like a racer. I think that's what it was. And she's like, I went to like this prestigious school and I did all these things. I'm getting these offers. Like she has a lot of worth and she's actually like a decent person. She's just in a really shitty situation, which I think is a lot of the people in the show. So I've always actually like, I liked her because she had a lot of potential and she was just stuck in a really shitty situation. And that's where a lot of people in today's society is as well. So I'm really curious to see where she's gonna go towards the end of everything because I think she's like sacrificing herself right now.
Right, yeah, and it's I'm not going to get off on a side tangent here, but I don't know if you've ever like sort of have these discussions, but people who are kind of like have that level of kink on the side, that seems to be the dynamic. Like the people who like in their jobs and their careers or have to be somewhat subservient are the ones who like tend to be the doms,
Mm-hmm.
and then vice versa. Like I've known people who have to be a very much alpha in charge person, and when they get in the bedroom they want to be a total bottom. Like they just they want to like not have control for once. And that's been like an interesting aspect that's sort of like developed over her like slowly over the course of these seasons.
Right, yeah, and that makes absolute sense. I think about just like your day to day, like a chef, right? They're gonna be cooking all day. Do they really want to cook when they're at home? Hell no, they want someone to cook for them most likely. So that definitely checks out. And so I'm hoping the thing about the boys, from what I've been seeing, is that there are a lot of happy endings for the people who deserve them, and then there's not a lot of happy endings for the people who don't. And so I'm curious to see if Ashley will get one, as well as A Train. There seems to be some good stuff happening, but I feel like there might be someone who does get done a little dirty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing, and it's interesting with A Train because the very first episode, you're like, this guy is trash. This guy is just human garbage, and we've kind of had this like really cool redemption streak, storyline that's been going on this season.
Right, and when you think about even with the things he's gone through, yes, running through Huey's initial girlfriend, not great, not awesome, but he was also really like into drugs and kind of like off of his rocker. And because of the things that I think Vought has had to make him do and the image he had for himself being completely dismantled and he's not truly like a hero, I think that led to a lot of problems for him where moving forward, when he did that and he got caught up in it, he wanted to do better. And ever since season one, he has been actively trying to kind of dismantle things and trying to improve on himself, or he's actively seeing what's going on. So I think from there, he was like, he's always been a good person. He just made a really bad mistake at the very beginning. And then since then has been improving. But I think at this point, when he saw that little kid look at him, he's like, this is the kind of hero I want to be, and this means way more, which he did voice that. And so, when heroes get to that point, that's where I'm thinking there could be a potential like self-sacrifice, or he's going to be one of the last people standing where he's going to be making a huge difference in however the story unfolds.
Hmm. And I think it's an interesting study because I think that happens to varying degrees to everybody, where you like, idealistically have this like view of yourself, and sometimes based upon life situations, relationships, career, whatever, you end up making these like little compromises, and you make them so gradually you don't even realize till because you've still got it in your head, you're justifying it. Well, I'm still a good person. Well, one day, blah blah blah, and then one day you kind of stop and look back, and you're like, oh wow, like I'm doing all these things. I'm a person completely different from my image of myself. And that's been, yeah, the interesting thing with A Train is him sort of like going through that and sort of like, and like you said, like that moment where that kid looked at him, like that was like the perfect moment of clarity for him. Like, this is what I should have been this entire time.
Right.
This is the stuff that should have been the focus. I mean, that was like kind of the whole point of like being a superhero and having powers, is to be able to help people and not just like make movies and run around and do Vaught's dirty work all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And so I'm glad that he had that moment, because I think that that was a very much here's what I've been hoping for the whole time. And so that, I think that definitely means a lot. And for him, I'm glad that he got to finally have that moment, because I feel like no one really else has had that moment for themselves as a superhero. Maybe Starlight a little bit, but I feel like that's really been complete 180 since then.
Hmm. Yeah, and then we have this whole thing where there's this party at Tech Nights where it feels like a party at the Wayne Manor, very upscale, high society, Illuminati type vibes. Um, Sister Sage takes a bullet to the head and goes from being like mastermind to drooling idiot, which I kind of feel that way when I like clock out of work every day. So it's like I get it. And Homelander and oh whoa, why do I forget her name all the time?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I just had a phone call. So you cut out right when you said something about Sister Sage.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sister Sage takes a bullet to the head, goes from being mastermind to being stupid, and we kind of like have this thing where like Homelander and I keep I keep forgetting her name every single time we do one of these lives.
Firecracker?
No,
Newman?
the Newman. Kind of like lay about their like coup. They're planning for this coup for this like new world order sort of thing. And yeah, bizarre, dark, creepy. Because you don't know how much of those things like actually happen in real life sometimes. But yeah, what'd you think?
I thought that was interesting, because how Homelander went about it, he was just kind of like completely disorganized, which I feel like is not him at all. Like, he's very meticulous when it comes to things, and when he wings it, he can still wing it really good. And there's still some thought behind it, because he has more information than he always lets on. So for him to just be like, fuck it, I'll do it myself, and then have all that pressure on him, it was really interesting to see, because it's like he was so uncollected compared to what we usually see. And even when he has something happen, he handles it decently, like visual wise, but you could just see, even in a room of people, he looked like he's about to cry.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen in a group of people for him. So that whole thing just felt like really sloppy, which is, it was supposed to, right? And that's why Newman did come in, and I thought that transition was really good. But now she's taking on things that she didn't know all the information about, like the internment camps. And I really just don't get because I think about Newman and her power. You know, they were trying to shoot them chickens and she just blew them up. And so I'm like, is she gonna be the one to kill both Homelander and Butcher? Because she can pop Homelander's head. They don't need a virus. Why doesn't she do that?
Right. Yeah. And I've wondered that myself, especially since, sort of like going back to what we were talking about, the A-Train thing. She's sort of in the thing where, like, she's starting to realize that maybe she's gotten in a little bit over her head, that she wasn't aware exactly where this path was going to lead. And now it's kind of like, I originally had this intent to do these things, but is the price morally, getting to be too much?
Right. Yeah. And, she's in it to win it and she has her goals, but I think something's going to come up and really bite her in the butt where she's going to have to make a decision. And they introduced Samir, which is her baby daddy slash partner of some sort. I don't know if they're together, but I think introducing him is going to lead to a potential for where she needs to choose her family versus her career. Because otherwise, like, why are we building that up, right? We're having more focus on her daughter, more focus on him to have her background, which they've been doing for everybody. But I think that's going to be tying into something important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We got as we get into like episode 7, where her baby daddy kind of like, it does end up making this virus, and it's sort of like, okay, the thing about this virus though is that if it's going to be that powerful, like Newman will get it too, like,
Right.
and their daughter. Like, there's, when you say like wholesale genocide, that's a whole lot of people, especially people that he cares about.
I know. And I'm surprised that he hasn't just offed himself already. But he did make it transmissible through, the injection, right? So if that's something that they can use at least to weaken him, and then someone else does the landing blow, that would be a win. And it seems like, with Butcher's inner dialogue and him communicating how he feels and what he knows with people, despite having a lot of that backlash, because like at this point I felt like Kessler was going to take over, where we would completely see a different type of Butcher and he was going to go off. But I don't think that's, we know Butcher to be ruthless, but he has intent behind everything. And I think that would be a really bad and undesirable ending for him that they wouldn't want to have. But we do see him completely just go. And so I'm curious to see if that will end up leading Kessler to have more of a role in his actions, but not quite where it's going to just be a constant battle.
Right. Yeah, and you kind of wondered they're almost kind of like a split personality thing if it wasn't going to be, because, you kind of had the, Kessler and Rebecca sort of the devil on one shoulder, angel on the other, and it seemed like Kessler was, he was at times getting close to winning that discussion, but Rebecca was always sort of his like moral compass. So yeah, but getting to reveal that, finally, because we had been theorizing that for a long time, that Kessler was just sort of like, in Butcher's head, and the kind of reveal like, oh, this is what it is. And in a way, he kind of tells him off, though. Butcher's kind of like, you just need to shut your damn mouth because, I'm going to do what I got to do, but I got to do it my way, sort of thing.
Right. But it is interesting because since he did that, we don't see Rebecca anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't popped up since then. And so I wonder if one side is overruling, but now it's a battle of who am I versus who do I just wish I could be, because it would be easier. I can get the job done. This is morals out the window. I have a job to do. So I'm curious if he is gonna let that side rule him over like at certain points, and then at the end he like makes the last cut decision where it's good, like to save Ryan. But it, I feel like Butcher's going to be a self-sacrifice of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's just leading up for that. So I'm curious how that's going to play out.
Yeah, and I have to admit, part of it makes me a little bit nervous because we only have one episode left with Butcher in it. Just one. Obviously we know Homelander is going to continue on into next season. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, I've got a lot of faith in the writers of this show, but I feel like we have one episode left with Butcher, and there's a lot to tie up. Like there's a lot to figure out here. I'm assuming the self-sacrifice, I'm guessing, is going to have something to do with Ryan if that takes place. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, and Ryan this season, we haven't seen him use his powers at all. So we don't
Right.
know if he's been honing them, if he's still the same kind of level of capacity, or if they've doubled or whatever. But I feel like he he's been pushed around a lot, or kind of being like submiss into doing everything for Vought, that he's gonna feel the same kind of pressure A Train did, right? They're making a cookie cutter version of him, but he's focused on I want to help people. He started getting more of that emotional, and like the mentality of like I'm gonna put justice into play, even if it's a little fucked up, but it's still towards good. Like that girl, let her slap the shit out of that guy. I love that scene. So I wonder if Ryan is going to be using his powers to help in any way, or if it's just going to be a shit show. But yeah, they have a lot to wrap up, especially now that we see the shifter who shifted into Starlight, and I thought that was interesting, um, and very weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially since, they didn't do like a shapeshifter, like, somebody like, for example, like Mystique or somebody who can just like flawlessly take on the appearance of another person. Like somebody who's like has to like rip themselves apart. Um, which is just like you just leaving a trail of like meaty flesh laying on the ground as you're running away, ripping stuff off, trying to look like another person.
Right, yeah, which is very gross, but I think they're gonna use that so they can, like, Starlight, if she wouldn't have seen the pile of flesh there, she wouldn't have known who captured her, right? So I think they're gonna be using that as more like imagery to help us identify where the shooter is, where they're going, or the shifter or whatever, um, to help differentiate. Because if they did just go blink, we're not going to be able to identify if they're in the crowd, where they're going, what they're doing, what the direction is. So I think that's kind of why they went for it. But also with the boys, they just like to be nasty. So like, how can we make things gross? And special effects department has a great budget with ripping shit off. I love it, but it is disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, we had to have the funny scene where like Starlight comes out in the Starlight outfit that Huey saved from the trash, and it's sort of like, so I know why you saved this, and he's kind of like, yeah.
But what's interesting, that again I saw on like Facebook or something, that someone was like, okay, so we get that we can copy a person, but does that mean you get all their memories? Because there was like referencing to, I think there's something that they talked about a memory there, but also she was able to get into the passcode. So like I wonder if you do that, you take on people's memories, and if she's gonna try to attach to something like someone who's really mentally effed up, like Homelander or Butcher, if that's gonna play an effect on something and to drive them insane, or is that just kind of like a weird like glitch that like, oh, we just assumed some things and she can't actually do that.
Right, yeah. That's going to be, yeah, waiting for more further developments on that. Of course, we also did get to see, speaking of gross, um, we did get to see, I think, Firecracker finally get a glimpse of the Homelander behind the curtains Homelander as they kind of do the interrogation of Webweaver, which, bro, bro is just spurting it everywhere. I don't even know. That was getting to the point where it was like a little bit much for me. Like I was a little bit like, oh,
I know
okay,
the
okay,
sound of it, and then him
yeah,
gagging, and then I started gagging. I'm like, this is not good.
yeah, and so of course Homelander just eventually just rips him in half, and Firecracker's reaction was very like she was mortified, like she was absolutely just like, oh my god, I don't think up until that point in time she realized the depths of like how this goes and the way Homelander can be with people that he feels have no use to him.
Right, exactly. And she's worked her way up to get to so close to him, which now she's like, I am potentially expendable because I have these secrets, and she's freaking breastfeeding him. And what happened to the last person who did that? So I don't know. I there's talk that someone is going to be teaming up against him, and I'd be curious if it's Firecracker or Sage, because Sage he dismissed, right? And we understand because he doesn't usually let people go like that, but he has that respect for people who stand up to him and tell him how it is. So I think that's why she was able to like get let go. But it's either she's gonna come back to help him, or Firecracker is gonna stay and help him. But I feel like one of them is gonna turn.
Hmm.
Like Sage might work with the boys to help off him. She's super intelligent, so she could easily find out how. And she's talking about like transmissible stuff via oxygen. She'll be able to probably find out a way to make it transmissible, get him in a room, gas him or something like that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but I have a feeling she is probably going to help with his execution or try to work against them.
Hmm. Well, especially with Sage, it's interesting how, and I wondered how it was all going to play out from the beginning because when you're dealing with somebody like Homelander, you're dealing with somebody who's like a textbook narcissist, a textbook sociopath, and for a lot of those people, to a degree, logically speaking, like they understand that they probably need somebody there to be a foil to sort of like say, hey, did you look at it this way? Especially when you're surrounded by everybody who just says yes, 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 yes. But emotionally, there's only so far they can handle that. Like eventually, it has to like break through, and it was kind of like going back to what you said, like how like sloppy it was with Homelander, at the Tech Night party. Well, it's because obviously going into that he was relying on Sister Sage to sort of lay out the groundwork of the plan, and then of course she got shot in the head and turned into, cake eating noodle, so he's like, I got to do it myself. But yeah, you're right. Like the fact that he just let her walk out of the room, which normally isn't how he handles that. So there must be either some level of respect there, or he just doesn't consider her a threat, which seems bizarre considering how smart she is.
Exactly. And I think he realizes that, because when he said, "Oh yeah, just go be alone or die alone or whatever in your room," I think that's where he thinks her priorities are because that's exactly what she was doing. She could be and could have been intervening in multiple things up until that point, but she chose not to because she does not like people and thinks they're stupid, which I can relate a little bit. Uh, but like when you have that kind of knowledge and no one takes you seriously, and that's something that's emphasized a lot in the show already. Like he's not taking her seriously, and he knows that because that's how she's been treated, and like with her being shot in the head, she's not reliable. So he's like, I have no use for you. So he knows that he's playing into the things that contributed to why she was just reading books, doing nothing really important. So I think he just truly assumes that she's going to go back to that, or he will use her later, or needs her for something.
And of course, on her way out, she runs across the Deep and Black Noir, where we sort of get revealed. Like we knew that Sister Sage was having this sort of tryst with the Deep when she was in stupid mode and just wanted Pretty Boy. But we find out that her and Black Noir had something going, which seems like much more of like maybe an intellectual, actual like relationship.
Hmm.
It's sort of like, and of course we got to have the scene where like Deep and Black Noir are walking along and they're both like, bro, bro,
Bro.
bro.
I know. I thought that was really funny. And like, oh, she had to lobotomize herself for you too. And he's like, lobotomize herself?
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't have to dumb herself down for me, boy.
No. And you know what's really funny? And I just saw this on Instagram that the actor who plays Black Noir is truly narcoleptic in real life. And so they wrote it into the show because he was apparently like falling asleep during scenes or whatever, like when he was on the side. And so yeah, they wrote it in the show, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Having this whole twist on Black Noir, which again for him too, it's like he agrees that everything's really effed up. So I wonder if he's gonna play a role. But going back to when you were saying like Sister Sage before she was walking out, she's like, well, you have this like unbeatable person, right? And so I'm really curious on who or who she was referring to. She's talking about like Soldier Boy. she's talking about Butcher or whoever, um, or maybe even just like himself and his demons. But I'm curious on what that truly meant and what we'll see from that.
Hmm. Yeah, and prior to that, we had the whole scene where, just like you were saying, Black Noir and the Deep went to attack, the boys, and they have that whole like throwdown in, the Iron Flat building. Um, which, yeah, of course, this is where we got to see like, Black Noir says something like, "Holy shit, he can talk! Holy shit, he can fly!" Like, and then of course he falls asleep in the middle of the fight. Like just, and then like yeah, like 2 seconds later he's like up and moving
I
again,
know.
which I thought was absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty great too. And I like the absolute throwdown between Starlight and the Deep. And there was references back to like when she was getting hurt by Homelander in the elevator and how he dug his fingers into her. Oh, and then she did it again to the Deep, but into his gills, which I think was like, ooh,
Ugh.
that's hella uncomfortable. But I, I don't know if this makes me a bad person or not, but like, I like it when men and women in movies absolutely throw down against each other with no like regard for gender. They're just like, you're a threat, I'm gonna beat the absolute shit out of you, and they both go ham. Because I think like for the scene where it was like her, Queen Maeve, and Kimiko beating up uh, the Nazi lady. I forget
Yes,
her name. Uh,
the beat down.
yeah, the beat down. Like I still felt like it was very much like this stereotypical like women beat up where they just kick each other, they throw each other, but yeah, they're like super strong, but it still was like just like boom, kick, whatever. But I felt like the fight scene between Starlight and the Deep was written really well, where it looked just aggressive both ways. It didn't look like feminine fighting. It just looked like absolute, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Which I was like, this is refreshing to see because there are a lot of when it comes to like writing like the stunt movements and doing the battle scenes that in history women have had the really shittily written and poorly choreographed scenes, but here it was just straight up demolished, which I was like, this is very refreshing to see. I like that.
Yeah, it was literally like gender aside, a straight up like MMA fight, like just throw down in the alley, like yeah. And I don't know how the Deep survived that. Like I thought for sure, like because we know also for the actor, like this is the Deep's last season, and
I
I thought,
know. I
oh,
thought he was
like
gonna die
when that
there.
fight, yeah, when that fight started, I thought, oh, they might off the Deep right here. But no, he had to have his very, very toxic male breakup with Ambrosia first, which made me cry and also kind of laugh at the same time. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah. And he's just like, "Oh, thank God it's over." And then you hear, I mean, like,
I know, and it
maybe,
just kept going on and on.
yeah, maybe I'm a terrible person, but it is an imaginary octopus.
That's
So
true.
I mean, it is what it is.
I know. I was just like, it's about time. How long? She's like, I can't breathe. And then it's just like for the next minute and a half,
Yeah,
help.
yeah. Like, wouldn't you have like your phone out, like Googling, like how long can an octopus breathe out of water, or is that something that the Deep would just know naturally anyway?
I'm sure he would know naturally. Because, like, also, too, like, she was out of the tank when they were fooling around. So it's like, okay, we have a minute and 30 so I can bust. Go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and he's like totally throwing her off, like, she's bringing up the to do list. And he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be a minute, babe. I gotta like get this out of the tank, and I gotta do this, and yeah, we'll see, babe. I don't know." And she's like, "Well,
Yeah, he was
I'm literally swimming on my own shit right now, so like."
help. I know. She deserved better. Justice.
She did, poor thing, but still funny. Sorry.
Never thought we would say that. Yeah, the octopus deserved better.
Yes, yes, and that's just like what this show does. Like, it takes the most bizarre. I mean, we didn't even talk about the puppet show at the beginning of episode 7,
Yeah.
which was just like I don't know what was like weirder, that one or like the ice skating thing that we had several episodes before, where it's like the puppets that are just like spouting like absolute like Fox News fucking nonsense. Like, hey, if you think your teacher or your parent is one of them libtards, make sure you tell somebody. Like, what? And even then, and I thought there was an interesting dynamic there where, Ryan was sort of like, what are we talking about? And Homelander, who had told him earlier, like, hey, people have been telling me what to do my whole life. I just want you to do what you want to do. But then when he like kind of like not digging it, Homelander just kind of calls him and is like, just do it, okay? Just shut your mouth and get it over with, which was like a weird flip from what he had said earlier.
Yeah, and I think Ryan realized it too. Like, when we see Homelander tell him that, he follows it up with still giving him instructions, but makes it feel like self-led, right? For the, thing he needs to be punished. And he agrees, but then directs him with what kind of punishment, which is a physical punishment. And then he kind of goes off a little bit. But yeah, there's two sides to a coin. And when Ryan is feeling like, okay, this is something I need to stand up for, this is something I don't want to do, and he goes against it, but still you can see that there's guilt there. So I think he's starting to wade through the waters of figuring out, like, I think he's saying things to give me more empowerment, but when it doesn't suit him, he takes away that empowerment. Which is how it's always been. It's just an extra emphasis of it. So yeah, I'm ready for Ryan to go off the walls, because it's just, even with his conversation with Butcher, he's like, they let me win all the time. That dynamic is eventually going to eat at him, where he can't be a kid. And that same thing for like when you see other movies where like rich kids, right? Everyone just gives them what they want. And when you always get what you want, you start getting a little crazy to switch it up, and power dynamic with that too. And I feel like he's gonna blow.
I think so too. Yeah, we got a lot that has to happen in episode 8. Yeah, and it's hard. Like, it's hard to even predict, like, even remotely, where they're going to go with anything, how this is going to play out. What's going to happen with Noir, Deep, Homelander, Butcher, Ryan, Starlight, who's now chained up in a weird saw basement. Yeah, it's going to be a lot.
It is, and I'm excited. I think it's gonna be really good, because is it gonna be the last episode, or is there gonna be more?
I believe it is the last episode of the season.
Okay.
And then we do have a season 5 that will be coming to The Boys, which is supposed to be the last season. I did see this week, though, that Tony Starr has been talking about how he would really love if, like, after season 5, they did, like, a Boys movie to, like, draw.
I saw that, too.
So, hopefully.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I think that would be dope to see in IMAX. But yeah, so these last 2 episodes, there was a lot of action happening. I think a lot more in these last 2 than some of the other ones. And it's really building up to be something interesting. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you hopefully next Friday, right? Or this Friday.
Yeah.
About some of the updates.
Coming up quick. And yeah. I don't even know. I'm nervous and excited all at the same time.
I know. I felt like this just zoomed by. Like, I feel like it just came out last week. But I'm nervous and excited too. I'm hoping that it's going to be good quality stuff, good ending for this season, and a dramatic ending, but still good for Butcher.
Yeah, and Eric Kripke, we trust. He hasn't let us down yet, so I have all the faith in the world that he's going to knock this thing out of the park, and we just have to wait and see now.
Yep, we just have to wait and see. So cross your fingers, folks, and we'll be chatting with you guys on Friday about the ending.
We will. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, happy birthday, Kayla. We love you so very much. I didn't even mention it. I should have. Your hair looks amazing.
Thanks.
But yeah, we will talk to you on Friday. Everybody out there, thanks for tuning in again. Have a good time, and we will see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.